If you were on Instagram or Twitter at all recently, there's a good chance you saw a graphic like this. It was shared over and over, including by several celebrities. It says Iran sentences 15,000 protesters to death. And several of the posts warn of an impending mass execution. So is that true? Did Iran sentence 15,000 protesters to death? Let's verify. Our sources: United Nations Special Procedures, Iran Human Rights, and the Constitution of Iran. The posts mostly cite a Newsweek article with the headline, "Iran protesters refuse to back down as 15,000 face execution." It claimed, quote, "The country's parliament overwhelmingly voted in favor of the death penalty for protesters." Now, 15,000 is the estimated total number of protesters arrested in Iran in the week since citizens nationwide began taking to the streets to demand improvements to human rights and liberties. According to Iranian state media, hundreds of members of parliament signed a letter calling for arrested protesters to be harshly punished. But the letter doesn't mean they were all sentenced to death. First of all, the manner of punishment requested was not specified in that letter, only that it be, quote, "a way that would serve as a good lesson in the shortest possible time." Second, and more importantly, Parliament does not hold criminal trials or issue sentences. The courts do. The letter was essentially a request to the courts. Now, we don't mean to downplay the potential impact of that request. A group of UN-affiliated human rights experts called the letter a, quote, "blatant violation of the separation of powers." But it's not the same thing as the courts actually trying, convicting, and sentencing protesters. That is happening, though, and rather rapidly. The first known death sentence for a protester was reported this week, and many more have been charged with crimes that could also carry the death penalty. The group Iran Human Rights puts the number at least 20. Both Iran Human Rights and the UN experts say these charges and trials can come without warning or due process. The UN experts say the threat of the death penalty is being used by Iran to try to discourage protesters, who have continued to demonstrate anyway. So it is very much the case that any one of the 15,000 plus arrested protesters could be in danger of eventually receiving the death penalty. But they were not all already sentenced to death, and a mass execution has not been ordered. Newsweek has since issued a correction on their article, and several of the high-profile posts have been deleted. With your Verify, I'm Casey Decker.